Let's see what's happening. Jack White.
It just seems like if you come out with a band and you use all electronic equipment and you record digitally and you have a drum machine and 50 samples and somebody rapping or whatever it is, all of a sudden it's cutting edge music.
Linkin Park.
I think maybe that's really original. I think anyone just really feels that they're doing something original is really fooling themselves. You shouldn't even want to, in one sense. One sense, you should be wanting to uphold the tradition of music and join the tradition of music and respect your elders, respect the people that came before you and honor the songwriters and people who really broke ground and paid their dues before, coming out with this brand new album recorded, on a digital bath towel or whatever, in the year 2030.
The reason we hype it.
And that's hysterical. But he's right. And I will. There's a couple things he brings up: moving, grooving, clicking, ticking. Jack White, old Jack White had it right. What? Old Jack White. Okay, I know that's loud for you. I won't do those friggin' noises. But old Jack White kind of had it right. Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, the black man, the wicked priest, coming right at you. The black man, the wicked prince of destiny. The 190 IQ Jew coming at you, Conor Farrell. Now, Jacqueline White over here, he makes the point, what did he say? He said, respect the elders, and he also said the digital bath towel. Friggin' bath head, Jack White over here. Actually, Jack White just I took guitar lessons from a guy in San Diego named Pat. Pat's amazing. Pat plays his guitar just with his left hand. He has the distortion cranked up. And he has a garage rock band called the Schizophonics. They're friggin' fantabulous. They're amazing. I took lessons from him. Pat and his wife, who's the drummer, they just opened for Jack White in LA. And that was like the other night. And that was friggin' fantastic. So everyone say congrats to the Schizophonics. If you like the White Stripes, go check the Schizophonics out. If you like Jack White, go check the Schizophonics out. Now that we got that out of the way, the digital bath towel. Now, people might say, well, the old Jack White, let's actually look in the comments. They're going to say, like, the old Jack White, he would not agree with the new Jack White. New Jack White uses electronics here. Oh, I like that he's seen that this mindset is a little backwards. Now he's a really cool and unique blend of traditional and modern production. So here's the thing, though. I'm much more a fan of the early White Stripes production. Like a lot. I don't think I just like it way better than what he's chosen to go with now. But that's not because modern production can't be as good as traditional production. I just personally, my personal taste and preferences when it comes to modern production tend to be different from what Mr. Jack White has. That's no problem. There's no shade there. But the whole thing is this idea of respect the elders and what came before, and just because it's shiny and new, this is actually a really good point. The point that basically, when you're looking at music, when you're looking at things like that, when you're making art, when you're doing pretty much anything, there is always going to be a benefit from using a shiny new thing and getting people to go, oh, I've never heard that before. That's always good, but the fundamentals are the fundamentals for a reason, right? And so people talk about this in like working out. I work out, obviously. Do you have a lift, bro? No, but that used to be a thing like 15 years ago. When I was in freaking middle school, people would say that. Do you have a lift, bro? Bro, you have a lift, bro. Go freaking bicep. You have a lift. You have a freaking lift of weight. But I know I'm doing silly little guy, silly little voices. I should get my other guitar in here. It's just like, I don't know, I like my little mini Strat. It makes me look big and freaking, like I'm not freaking 6'7", 5'7". What am I, Yao Ming? Boom, freaking old school basketball reference. I don't even like basketball that much. Actually, basketball's probably pretty fun. I just haven't gotten around to it. I used to rock climb in middle school. I got pretty good. Anyways, I stopped rock climbing. That's big, not important. What was I talking about? I was thinking, clicking, and ticking. Oh, no, the fundamentals are fundamentals for a reason. So people talk about that when it comes to weightlifting, because the idea is like, there's basic movements like a deadlift, a squat, a bench press, a pull-up, a barbell row, these very basic traditional things. You see people take the dumbbell and they do the curl, and this is not because it's about the thing, but the whole idea is like, there is always shiny new things that people invent or figure out when it comes to working out, and like how to work out the best ways, and the ways like you get the most, how do I get big muscles, or how do I get really strong really quick. and like better techniques and like new techniques. Newness is always a thing, but you need to respect the fundamentals because at the end of the day, it's all about the fundamentals. Now, in working out, that example is whatever you're doing, you need to be able to bring the intensity. And if you can't bring the intensity, then you need to have the endurance to get to the point where it does become really intense. Basically, you need to get close to what they call failure in the sense that, like, if I have a muscle and I'm doing this and I'm curling up the weight, if it's a light weight, I need to do it until I can't do it anymore, until I literally get to here. It's like, when I can't even do this, and I can't even, and I can barely curl it, that's when my bicep has reached the point of failure. Or an easy way to get around that is you pick a weight that you can barely do for 8 reps, and then you just go 1, 2, 3, and you just barely get to like 6 or 7. You basically can't do anymore. You had to push really hard, and that intensity leads to the body getting a signal going, I need to build this bigger and stronger because it's not big and strong enough to do that over and over. If we have to do that in 3 more days, we need to make that to be an easier thing to do because that was way too hard for me to do. Let's not make that nearly as hard. Let's put more muscle there and whatever muscle is there, let's make it stronger. Some combination of the two. And so that's a fundamental because then people go, okay, instead of taking the weight and going and curling, I need to like have some complicated thing with like pulleys and levers and things, and that'll like be the optimal angle that'll make, it'll target this thing or this thing, like whatever it is, and like this or that or that, and so the whole point is, the basic though is that you need to get that intensity, right? You need to be really intense so your body goes, oh my God, we almost couldn't do it. And because your body doesn't know if you were trying to escape a tiger trying to kill you in the forest, or if you were just at Planet Fitness. Either way, it's like, whoa, that could have been life or death. And so your body goes, that was close to the limit. And so likewise, in songwriting and in music, there's lots of basics, right? And one of the things that Jack White, Meg White, the Black Keys, who I knew at the time, I didn't like being compared to, but the reason I am comparing them is not because they sound the same at all. It's both because they both learned the right lessons and they learned the fundamentals well. And most other bands that have more members can avoid having to learn the fundamentals. And the reason I say this is they can cover it up by more shiny new things. If every song, you're like, okay, well, these 2 guys are going for a while and we don't know how to change it up. Let's just throw in 8 more instruments and then take the instruments out and put the instruments back in. And then, if you've got 80 guys in a band, it's very easy to have a song that feels like, oh, new things are happening all the time. And it's exciting and it doesn't get boring. But when you're 2 people, you can't just bring people in and out. You actually have to know, how do I make a song work with an acoustic guitar around a campfire and with someone stomping or someone banging on the guitar as like almost like a bump, 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 ding da bump, ding da bump, ding da bump, ding da bang da bump, ding da. Like, how do I make body over? Can't sing right now. Or ever, some people might say I can't sing ever. And I'd say, no, it was me to you. And I would cry myself to sleep. And so the whole point is, he's a blue guy. Of course he felt this. No, but the idea is that these people realize that, like, in songwriting, one of the main things is that the 70s bands learned this. AC/DC, a lot of these bands, kind of before grunge in the 2000s, they really knew the idea that, like, there's only 12 notes, and there's usually, when you're talking about a scale, each song usually only uses 5 or 7 notes for most of the song, and if they do use different notes, it's only for one part that uses a different set of 5 or 7 notes, and then goes back to the original set of 5 or 7 notes. So you only have 5 or 7 things you can choose from. You're not going to achieve stuff from having, the way you achieve things is this part of the drum comes in and out, and it's going at this rhythm, and then it changes, and then it's there, and then it's not there. And this part as well of the drum, and then this part as well. And so you're like, okay, I've got 3 different kind of things. I've got high-pitched stuff that rings out on the drum, sizzling sounds. I've got things that are like tap, 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 like the snare drum, and things that are like very much in the middle of like frequency. And they got the thud, 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 thud. The kick drum is a doo, 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 doo. Doom, doom. I've got the doom, doom. I've got the doom, doom, tum, tum, and the and doom, doom, ta, ta, ta. know this is silly. I know it's silly, guys, come on. But you're like, okay, I've got 3 basic like elements I can play with, and then I can either do them, usually with a beat in a song, you've got like 4 beats. So it can either happen every 4 beats, for each of these 3 things can either happen every of the 4 beats, 1 of the 4 beats, 2, or 3 of the 4 beats. And then if I say normally, you have 4 beats and then another 4 beats, and normally like they repeat every 4 beats. But what if I do, first 4 beats there's 1 kick, you know, and 2 things in the middle, and then 3 things up top, and then that swaps, they all rotate. So then it's like, okay, well now I have, for the next 4 beats, I have 3 hits on the kick, 2 hits on the snare, and 1 hit on the things. And then, like, I'm not saying this is going to be a good thing that's going to immediately come out by doing this, but if you understand, like, oh, those are the things I can play with. Either it's happening or it's not happening, and it's happening at this point or not happening at this point. Instead, lots of bands just layer stuff on. So the bands in the 70s, what they would do is they knew, okay, we pretty much have the same exact chords, and punk bands knew this too. What can we change? We can change when things come in and out, how many times we change when they come in and out, who comes in and out at what times in relation to each other, vocals, backup vocals, when they come in and out, when the drums go from being very minimal to very big and loud, and everything's blurring over, and same with the guitar when I'm like, dun 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 dun. The idea being that they understand, like AC/DC, like AC/DC understood, like, okay, we have 3 chords that we're going to play every song, or 4 chords, and then we're going to change the order of the chords. We're going to change when they hit within the 4 beats of the friggin' song. Ding, 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 running on the highway, running on the highway, ding, 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 down like a don't, on the highway to hell, on the highway to hell, I'm going down. But likewise here, they understand that every White Stripes song is just the blues scale, which is the 5-note, but really, there's 6. You add in 1 note. But it's like every White Stripes song is 6 notes that you have to choose from. It's the order of them. It's the order of the structure, and there's basically like 3 parts of the drums, or at least that's kind of how they do it. And it tends to be either it's happening and ringing out, or it's just very. It's either has a lot of space, or it's very busy. And that's for each part of the drum kit. And usually it's like, it's like kick, 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 kick. Like there's either like a rhythm, like it's just like dink, 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 like a clock, or it's got space like dink, 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 dink. Like it's either space, tick, 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 like a clock, or it's very like all-encompassing, very busy. So it's either busy, sparse, or like a metronome, repetitive. And so pretty much we're like, okay, we have 3 things we do with the drums typically in a White Stripes song. And we only have 6 notes, so it's like, how do we play around with those variables? And that's where it comes to the words, then it comes to when am I loud and quiet, when do I make it big and when do I not make it big, how do we change the order of the things, who's singing, when do they cut out, when's it change? And so those are the real things we're playing with. Other bands get trapped into, well, we put the wicka wicka, I'm about to break everything you say to me, And so like they do all these different things and they get wrapped up in the production and the shininess, but here's the real thing. If you can do what AC/DC, what Motorhead, what the White Stripes in the early records, what Black Keys in the early records all did, which was say, okay, well, we're just the basics are going to be the basics when it comes to kind of rock, blues, punk, pop, songwriting, all that stuff, right? It's going to be the same basic stuff, One second. I think, is my brother calling me? No. I had a feeling that maybe he was locked outside. Maybe I locked him out. That'd be very rude. But it's very easy to write a good song with the basics and know how to write infinite songs based off of changing the lyrics, changing the orders of these variables, these very simple things, and then add on all the shiny stuff on top. Done. Add the shiny new thing on top. Literally. Is there anybody out here to listen to my story about the girl who came and went to stay? Like, I think probably like, can you feel the silence? Can you feel my heart? I bet you Can You Feel My Heart works as a song on the campfire. And so basically what Jack White's getting at is you need to study how to make something work as a campfire song, to make it past the campfire test. Trouble on my left, trouble on my right. I've been facing trouble almost all my life. My sweet love, won't you pull me through? Everywhere I look, I catch a glimpse of you. I started with love and I did the love. Friggin' Cage Elephant understood this. So like, okay, now did I like Cage Elephant's first two records better because they're higher energy while still being catchy, which is therefore more rock energy on this side, catchiness on this side, higher energy, still catchy. Did they tone down the energy to go from being like rock and punk down to being more like pop and rock? Yeah, they did. But they still know how to make it past the campfire test, right? The difference between a rock song and a pop song can usually be, how loud it is. That's how you know if it's good pop music and good rock music. If it's not that catchy, it's just bad music, right? And same thing with like metal and this other stuff too. I think grunge has lower energy than metal, but tends to also not be as catchy. Or it's equally as uncatchy as metal. But it's like, if it's going to be not that catchy, it might as well be higher energy. I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent. But the whole point is, if you understand the campfire test, the catchiness and balancing those things in the actual song, I think it's really what he's saying is, you can't just gimmick your way to having high energy, just by using tools and electricity and electronics and production and all of this stuff. You should have a baseline idea how to rub two sticks together and make something catchy as all heck. How to make something undeniably catchy from pretty much nothing. There's a clip in the first Iron Man movie where it goes, Tony Stark made this in a cave with a box of scraps. When Obadiah Stane, the evil bad guy, is like, why can't we develop, our own Tony Stark Iron Man armor? He's like, Tony Stark was able to do this with nothing. He was able to make something undeniably awesome and cool using just the basics. Why can't we figure it out with all of our cool production techniques? Like, it's because you need to understand how to make something undeniably good, undeniably 0, 10 catchiness. You need to get to 10 on catchiness without adding the stuff. Because then the instant you add the stuff, well, now it's higher energy and catchy. It's like, boom, it's good. It's a hit. It's a hit. Like, if you take the production away from Toxic by Britney Spears and you play it on a campfire, with an acoustic guitar, and its catchiness is still a 10 out of 10, except now without the production, maybe it's like a 4 out of 10 on energy. So it's still 10 out of 10 catchiness, but only goes up to a 4 on energy. But if you give the production, boom, it's like an 8. It's like a rock song. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing, is like, you need to understand first the skill that's the hard thing is writing and songwriting. Adding energy is very easy because you just learn a couple tricks, a couple ways to mix stuff. There's lots of free recording equipment on the internet. And so that's kind of his point. It's like, it doesn't matter what friggin' digital towel you use or what kind of like icing you put on the cake. Does the cake taste like poop? Like, if the cake tastes like poop, if the songwriting, the catchiness is a 0 out of 10, it doesn't matter how energetic it is. Now, some aspects of the catchiness can play into the energy in some levels and how much energy there is and when it comes energetic and when it doesn't can be amplified by the catchiness. But if you have a song that's kind of like, I'm gonna fight more, till a seven nation army couldn't hold me back. Like, if it's kind of like small there, and then like right there, okay, so you're like, the difference between that part that's like low energy and high energy. There's still not that high energy if you're doing it on a campfire, but there still is that dynamic, and you know how to do that in such that it's still catchy. So then when you do add the production on, and you got... Now I know Meg White doesn't play drums like that. Like, you don't need to. But the whole point being that it amplifies the catchiness that's there. And so what's fundamental is the songwriting, is upholding and trying to be within that tradition of songwriting and actually studying the things. Even if you stop at AC/DC because you think they didn't have as much diversity in terms of what notes they used in composition and songwriting, and it was basic, because they were praying at the friggin' altar of it needs to be catchy, it needs to be good. And then once we start with that, we can increase the energy. And that's the right way to do it. And that's where he's right. So this is really epic. I like it. It's cool. And that's the thing too. You can lose people with production, right? So let's go back, or I guess we don't need to go back, but there was a guy who just watched a video on this thing before. It was talking about, he made a little song about weed, and now he talks about like why, smoking weed will make you a dum-dum, make you a dumb person. And I don't necessarily agree. I don't smoke weed myself, but I think it's more useful to think about, is it going to be useful in achieving something? Does it have utility or does it not have utility? Instead of good and bad, devil, angel, instead of, you know what I mean? Like, you see how this is very hyperbolic? But if you take down the energy, similar thing here, if you take down the energy and you just look at, does it help me with what I'm doing right now, right? And I really think it's like, if you're unhappy with your life and you need to make change, well then, if weed makes you feel comfortable with where you're at, that's not going to help you want to make change. You should have coffee and be like, oh my God, I need to change things. Oh my God, I just sitting here and being upset about it. Let me just go change it. I can't take this. I'm going to go fix this. Oh my God, thank God I fixed it. Now I want to calm down. Then maybe, okay, have your weed. But also on the other side, if you're a high achiever and you're like, okay, I'm a world famous rock star. I have 30 records that are all coming out this year. They sound amazing. I collab with everyone I wanted to. I'm playing these stadium tours. I'm doing great. I have my movie. I got my $100 billion, like whatever thing, metric or thing. And, they say once you make something a goal, a metric associated with a goal, it ceases to be a good goal to measure. Because then you start to get in your head about it and you know what I mean? It kind of gets morphed because you're thinking about it. Now you're thinking about it as being a factor in you doing it, and everything kind of gets, you get in your head, it's placebo effect, but also, overthinking can, all these things. But the whole point is, if you're doing really good and you're achieving stuff, but you still feel discomfortable, then maybe having some weed could be helpful in making you feel more comfortable with where you're at. And so that's the whole thing is like, with weed or with coffee, right? It's like, if I want to be calm, then coffee, you say coffee's bad. You're like, no, if I want to be calm, coffee's not going to be useful. Instead of good and bad, moralization and moralizing things, think about, how is it? Likewise here, before you add on the production element, I was using this for energy and this for catchiness, right? But with the thing here, people were saying, oh, well, Jack White's new production style, I like it. The problem is, if a song's well written, that's pretty much like, people are going to like it, no matter what, it's undeniable. But preferences in production techniques can be subjective, and, it's like, this guy has a really well-written song and little thing, and he does some good voices and little things and sings along with his thing. But if you were to produce it like a total country song, and it became a stereotypical country radio production, I might not enjoy it nearly as much. But some people would enjoy it way more. And so this can be an intensifier. It can amp things up or it can dull things down. It can put other people onto it and put other people off of it, right? Like, the Jack White more modern production style that he tends to go with tends to not click as well for me. There's notable exceptions to that are like really good ones that I really do like the production on. But in general, I found that I'm not in his favor of the production. And so it's interesting because I clearly like his songwriting because the White Stripes one's less produced and stripped back. I like the songwriting, but I might not resonate exactly with the production choices. And so likewise, people go, is this thing good? Is this thing bad? It's more useful to think about what's going on with this thing. First off, why do I think I feel like either I think it's good or bad? And what do I actually mean by good or bad? Do I mean useful or unuseful? Do I mean, like for me, when I might say like, I think grunge isn't that good. Well, I don't mean it's actually not good. I mean, I don't think it has as much energy or as much catchiness as other related forms of rock music. I think metal has more energy, usually, even if it's not as catchy as other forms of rock music. Metal has more energy than grunge, and in that regard, it's better than grunge. And then I might think, hair metal has more catchiness than grunge, but isn't much higher energy or heavier. And so I would say hair metal beats it in that. And so I would say my critique of grunge is not grunge is bad, and some moralization. It would be that I don't think grunge has as much energy as metal, and I don't think it's as catchy as like 80s rock or like Guns N' Roses. You know what I mean? And so it's like I can have critiques like that, and it's not because it's actually good or bad. And like it's a misnomer to say good or bad. And so I think things get more useful, and you actually have a better mental headspace. You have a better time talking to people and discussing things when you think about what do I actually think about this? What is a cause and effect? What is this thing because this helps this or this hinders this? This is useful or not useful, right? This does this or this does the opposite of this. And that's a much easier way to think about things. Anyways, let me know what you think. Do you the wrong button, fixing out buttons, I don't even know what I'm doing, freaking out, I'm crying, let's see, crying. Okay. Do you think technology is ruining music? That's the name of the clip on there. But what do you think about all this? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I mean, what's going on? Anyways, Connor Farrell, subscribe, comment. Oh, if you like the White Stripes, you should listen to my band in the description, Black Licorice. Listen to the song Tell It To Me. I based it off the song Black Math. I shifted it up a little bit, and then I changed things around. But I actually did, literally did with the White Stripes show I was talking about in this video, where I said, okay, I want to play with space. The verse is going to be space, but the tick, 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 bam, ba-ba-dam, 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 and bam, ba-bam, ba-bam, wide open, more space on the chorus, and then dent, metronome type of thing, like I was saying with the drums, tends to be space, metronome, or busy. Tends to be space, metronome, or busy. And so in that song, we ended up using that and doing that. You guys can go listen to it. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. And if there's anything you want to talk about, hit me in the comments. If you want me to react to some videos and talk about some different topics, let me know. Also, hope you have a wonderful day.